Good afternoon, guys. It is June 16th, 2021. On this video here, I want to talk to you about the Kirby vacuum cleaners and why I think they are one of the best in terms of reliability and quality and all that. First of all, I just want to say this. If you don't like the Kirby and it's not your thing, that is fine. I understand that. I know some people just hate on the Kirby, and I don't know what their problem is, but, at the end of the day, it's kind of like, people and their cars or their, phones or whatever it is that they actually like, you know, to get, the fancier, the nice stuff. It's pretty much the same thing. Just, now, if I will say, if you are going deeply into debt to get these things, and you're paying $3,000 for each one, and you're going crazy, then yeah, I have a problem with that. That's not good. But, I try to find every single vacuum cleaner that I have in this house, except for one of them, is used. I bought one brand new, and it was cheap. It was probably like $70, which is more than I would pay for a used one. But I wanted to just have something that I can kind of knock around and not worry about too much, and something that would be functional. But, these Kirby's are... Kirby is one of the most reliable vacuum cleaners on the market. There are others that are still pretty much just as reliable and last just as long. And if you take care of a vacuum cleaner, it's going to take care of you. But here's what I'm going to say. A lot of people don't really take these seriously. A lot of people don't take vacuum cleaners seriously in general. But a lot of people just kind of think like, oh, it's, well, it's kind of like old-fashioned and it's everything. And some people say like they break down, they're, a mess, they're hard to handle, they're hard to deal with, and all this. But, I'm not gonna lie, they are heavy and they're not the easiest to carry up and down the stairs. Okay, that is a fact, that is true. But surprisingly, they are easier to carry up and down stairs than some others, because of that handle there, which kind of evens out the weight. And one thing, people think that, Kirby vacuums just, are just as disposable as other vacuums, which I don't understand that, but, I guess if you don't know anything about vacuums, I guess that might be okay for me to understand, but I don't know. Both of these vacuum cleaners are around around the 20-year old category. Okay? The Ultimate G here is a 2003, and the G5 right here is a 1998. So these are not new by any stretch of the imagination, not even close. They're not as old as some others I've seen, but still, older. And the thing that I want to talk about is just how simple they actually are. A lot of people say they're very complicated, and I'm not gonna lie, sometimes they can be more confusing, and there's a lot of parts and a lot of things going on with them, but I want you to think about this. Think about repairing these compared to repairing something like a Bissell or a Dyson. These are very easy to repair. There are some that are easier to repair, like the sanitaires are a little easier to repair, but these are still pretty easy to repair. You can get almost any part under the sun for these, for reasonable prices, pretty easily. And on top of that, unless you're doing something just absolutely stupid with these, Kirby vacuum cleaner motors are almost indestructible under normal use. I mean, I actually saw one video where this guy, oh, it broke my heart. I saw one video where this guy actually, for views, I guess, he took a Kirby Centria and he abused this thing. I mean, he was rough. Oh, it just, and he, he literally, took the head off and, pushed in, the power switch and, locked up the shaft and the fan and ran it. And so it was just seized up and it just overheated and it burned out. Yeah. I don't know what it was with that guy, but oh, that was painful to watch. Yeah, you'll never see me do that to my Kirby's. You'll never see me do that to a Kirby, period, because they're so expensive and they're so nice. I am not gonna throw away a good vacuum like that. I'm not gonna do that. So, but that's just an extreme situation of somebody just being stupid. Okay? But under normal use, I mean, there's some G3s that are still going from 1990. And they're still running perfect. Now, after about 40 years or so, the bearings kind of start to go out on the motors, but you can replace the bearings on the motors, and you can replace the whole motor, believe it or not, at least on these G series. You can get a new motor for $130, which if you paid the $1,000 in the first place for these, $130 is not that much. That's less expensive than buying a Shark or a Dyson. And those machines are crap compared to these. So, um, things can be replaced. You can replace the wheels, you can replace the bumpers, you can replace axles, cords, you name it. I mean, so the reason why I'm saying this, and I've touched on this quite a few times. People do not really think logically about the Kirby vacuum cleaner. And, I'm not saying that you have to like the Kirby or you have to buy a Kirby. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is there are some people that say, well, there's just no place for it in the market. It's old style, it's old fashioned, it doesn't work, you're wrong if you say that. Okay? Notice I didn't say that everybody has to have a Kirby and everybody should buy a Kirby. But you're wrong if you say that because these clean so well. I am not kidding. My carpet is noticeably softer after I use a Kirby on it. And my carpet isn't that expensive. It's just this cheap builder grade, stuff. So it's not anything high end, but it really makes it soft after I vacuum. And it's removing a lot of the fine dust, fine grit, all that stuff. But, is the Kirby vacuum worth it? It is definitely not worth thousands of dollars. I can tell you that. It's not worth that at all. So I would say between $500 and $800 brand new. That's an investment. Okay? If you are planning on taking care of it for as long as you own it and maintaining it well, treating it nicely, changing the bags, changing the belts, changing the roller when it needs to, replacing worn parts as they come out, that is going to last you an extremely long time. A Kirby vacuum should last you no less than 20 years. Easily. Easily. No less than 20 years. But in a lot of cases, they go for, way longer than that. 30, 40, 50, 60 years at times. And it is possible. It is possible, guys. I have seen it over and over and over and over again of people with Kirby's that they have taken very good care of, and they just continue to run and run and run and run and run. Okay? This is just a fact. And if you don't like that because you're not a fan of Kirby's, then okay, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just telling you what the facts are here. And the fact is that Kirby makes one of the most reliable vacuum cleaners here in the United States. Now, I don't think they're for everyone, and I don't think they're for every job. I really don't. I mean, there are things that, I'd rather not use my Kirby for. Like really nasty stuff or really, just things that I just don't want to abuse my Kirby's with. Now, some people are going to say, oh, well, they're just, they're too big and they're too old. And yeah, no. Now, I will say I understand if you have to carry it up and down the stairs. I get that, okay? But one thing I will say, if you are a bodybuilder watching this and you're complaining about that, and you lift like 200 pounds at the gym and you're complaining about how heavy a Kirby is, I have no sympathy for you, okay? None whatsoever. Because if you can lift 200 pounds at the gym every day, there's no reason that you couldn't lift 20 pounds of a Kirby. None. And they're really not that bad to carry. They're not all that awkward, really, if you carry them properly. So, but I do understand disabled people, elderly people, things like that. I mean, my grandmother, if my grandmother were looking for a vacuum cleaner, unfortunately she's not with us anymore, but if she was looking for a vacuum cleaner and she had stairs in her house, which she didn't the whole time I grew up. She never had stairs in her house. I would say no. I'm not gonna recommend that. Because, I'm not gonna do that to people that I know are physically getting older or are very weak. And it's not to put them down or say that it's not worth it, but I'm not going to do that to people that I know are, vulnerable. Now, the other thing is, you notice there's two Kirby's here, okay? I want you to think about this. If you like the Kirby, if you like the functionality, if you like the reliability, if you like the performance that you get from them, but you just don't like the weight, and you don't like carrying them up and down the stairs, keep your eyes open for good used ones from time to time. Save up the money, keep your eyes out for some good used ones, and whether you have 2 or 3 floors, buy another Kirby for that other floor and just keep one on every level. So you don't really have to carry it up and down the stairs that much. So, just something to think about there. I know people have done that before, not even collectors, just regular average consumers. I mean, they, had an older Kirby, like a G-Series Kirby for many, many years, and then they, bought a Centria or an Avalier or something, later on, but they kept the old one around because it was still going, and then just use it on, in the basement or, upstairs or whatever, So, so that's always an option, if you really like the Kirby and you just don't like carrying it up and down the stairs, or you can't really carry it up and down the stairs, that's another option right there. But if you don't like the Kirby and you don't want it, that is totally fine. I don't care. you know. But just understand that there are those of us who absolutely adore the Kirby and love it. We have fun. I mean, they are like the Cadillac of vacuum cleaners, like really, really nice. And they are so nice to work with, so nice to work on and repair that it is so worth it to me. And honestly, for how expensive these vacuum cleaners are, for the most part, parts and supplies are pretty cheap for them, which is actually kind of surprising, but you know, I don't know. But the other thing is, I've noticed that this is just my thought, but I think here in the United States, at least, we have gotten so soft and so used to things being so lightweight and easy that the thought of anything heavy or big, just as a society, we just think, oh, you know, that's big, that's heavy. I can't use that. I'm telling you, if you would actually be a little more active and keep your muscles strong and in good shape, it probably wouldn't bother you. Now, I'm not trying to say that to be offensive or nasty. I understand that there are some people that truly cannot do that, and I get that. But I'm just saying, in general, we have just become so accustomed to everything being so light and so, easy that we're not willing to deal with something heavier and larger anymore. I'm not saying that's everybody, but a good majority of people uh, don't like that. And so, again, like I said, disabled people, elderly people, people who truly have a limitation or a disability there, I get that. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people who just don't want to lift heavyweight things and stuff. You really got to think about that, because really, all there was heavy and large for years. I mean, you had all these metal, you know, strong built Hoovers and, you know, Kirby's back in the day were big and stuff. I mean, we've just gotten away from that. I think that's just something that I really have noticed. But anyway, I'm just kind of rambling, but here's kind of my thoughts on the Kirby vacuums and my opinions. I understand not everybody will agree, but that's okay. I totally respect your opinions and your views and thoughts on this topic, um, but they're in the market for a reason, because they have been tried and true and proven for years. Not just years, decades and decades and decades. Over 100 years. And the Kirby company is still great today. So, please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.